Hi there, I'm Madeleine Brown and I am the Regional Vice President of Communities for the Highlands and Islands Students Association, and I'm joined here today by Phil Packer, who is the founder of the British Inspirational Trust. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and speak with us, Phil. We really appreciate it. To kick things off, I just wanted to ask you, what inspired you to create the BRIT Challenge?
I sustained a spinal cord injury in 2008, and my knowledge of disability was minimal. So although it was it was life-changing for me, um, I hadn't realised how much my self-esteem and self-confidence and self-worth had been knocked, I think. And uh, I was very, I did a number of physical challenges to see what I could or couldn't do. And they actually became fundraisers, quite high profile fundraisers. And on the back of that, I was then asked to be a patron ambassador to a number of different charities, used sometimes to be outdoor and perhaps to spend time with people with disabilities and young people. So my learning curve was really high, and I started to see amazing work that's done, but I also started to see a lot of people who sometimes could slip through the gaps in support. But I also started to see how mental and physical health go together, and you can't really deal with one without the other. So the founding of the charity was after I spent time with 60 other charity CEOs to talk about what I was trying to achieve, and they agreed and said, go for it. Initially, BRIT, the British Inspiration Trust, or BRIT, was founded to support young people with physical and mental health challenges. That's where it really started. And the more that I've learned by meeting young adults and students, the more that we have adapted the charity. So it's a non-residential. Initially, it was going to be residential, but it's non-residential, and we exist to support the mental health, well-being, and fitness of young adults, students, and staff across the whole of the UK. And we do that through the delivery of the BRIT Challenge. It's a very long answer, but just to give it's been steered and guided along the way by students and staff, by listening to students and staff, and that's how we've kind of evolved, really.
Perfect. Thank you. No, that's really, really interesting to hear about. So as you've mentioned, and we all know, I know as myself as a student, there are thousands of us out there struggling daily with mental health. We've just come out of a pandemic. A lot of students, because of the cost of living crisis, are having to take second jobs. Is there sort of any kind of key message you would want to get out to students out there right now who may be struggling with their mental health?
I mean, I'm not a practitioner and I'm not an expert, so I'm always very nervous. But I think sometimes you can only talk about your own experiences in a way. And I think what I really wanted to do with BRIT is we deliver the BRIT Challenge, and it's for students and staff of all abilities. And it was designed pre-pandemic, but also during the pandemic, to reach you wherever you are and to take part in an activity. Now, it started off very much around the physical activity, but now it's very much in the well-being space. So when people go, it's sport, it's not. It can be, that can be some of the activity, but it's well-being. And it's bringing people to do things together. So I certainly felt I'm very fortunate with family and friends and colleagues that I feel like I've got a kind of really strong supported network. I don't hopefully lean on the same person all the time about one thing, but I think it's really important to be able to talk openly and to feel that it's to have trust in people, that unconditional friendship, that love, So I think we exist, and the challenge is designed to support young adults and students to reduce isolation, to reduce loneliness. For those that aren't feeling isolated or lonely, is to bring as many students with you to take part in this. And so I think it's just giving things a go that you've never done before, to come together, spend time together. But I think it's really important to destigmatize mental health. And I talk about my journey, not enough time now, and I don't want to waffle, but I think it's really important that to talk about resilience and to talk about what's out there, what is available for students, to be able to signpost. And I think the more we talk about it, the more people will feel it's okay to actually, don't judge me, I'm just being open, sort of thing, just want to talk about well-being. So I would say, building the friendships at college and uni is so important, but it's just to have people that you feel that you can confide in, that you can talk to. And that doesn't have to be a friend. That can be through HISA or through SAMH or charities based in Scotland. I think it's just knowing that you've got someone you can talk to if you need to. That's my advice, is almost to, who do I have?
No, I completely agree. I'm very blessed in that I always tell people I have the most patient best friend in the entire world. I think that the fact that she's still here listening after 20 years is quite impressive. But no, definitely a lot of my work as a local officer last year and as a regional officer this year is very much focused on mental health and signposting students to both our internal and our external services. Obviously, this is our first year HISA that has had the chance to properly get involved with the BRIT Challenge, but what would you hopefully like to see in the future going forwards with future BRIT challenges?
I suppose you can only go observationally, and I think we're talking about UHI and HISA here, perhaps. I think, but obviously I want to talk about Scotland and the whole of the UK. But I think sometimes it's when something works, wow. And I think what works really well is when there is a kind of steering committee. And I guess it's who's on that steering committee is the one. Now it's going to change for everybody, but yes, of course, HISA. But I would say comms, because you want to spread the word to as many students and staff as possible. And then you've got the multiple colleges and then campuses. So I think having leadership from the staff structure is really important, because I think that if people are going to get involved and they're going to take a bit of time out or be encouraged to take a bit of time out, not that one needs permission, but it's nice when the leaders are saying, you can do this, let's do this together. So I think senior management is very important, and the best I've seen is when a vice chancellor or pro vice chancellor or college principal is part of that, and comms are there, and well-being are there, and student services and sport, and of course the student body. So I think that could work really well. It might be a little bit different with UHI and the colleges and HISA, but generally speaking, it's pretty much similar appointments, but slightly different structure. And I think inclusivity is also really important, it's activities to be designed for students and staff of all abilities to take part in. I think that's really important. And I applaud a 5K fun run, but I can't run. So I might want to take part in something, but I wish I could take part in that. So having other activities, inclusive activities, is really important. And I think the other is the acts of kindness. I get very excited to see the number of acts of kindness that HISA and the colleges that took part this year in Scotland completed within the community. And I think there could be some really innovative and creative ideas for HISA and UHI to get involved in next year alongside activity.
Thank you. No, I completely agree. I think accessibility is key. As someone who is not overly involved in sports and physical activities myself, I think it was really important for us to try and find a challenge that would incorporate everyone. And definitely when it comes to the social aspect, following the pandemic, a lot of the students have said they really struggled to kind of get together and form social circles and feel comfortable going out again. So I think a lot of the works that we did with some of the acts of kindness, particularly one of the Perth officers did a massive piece of work in Perth on acts of kindness, and it really brought people together and encouraged them to come out and make new friends, and hopefully that will be something that will continue throughout the year. Obviously, very appreciative to be talking about specifically UHI and HISA, but is there anything that you would sort of hope to see for your charity going forwards for the whole of the UK in future challenges?
Yeah, there is. Well, there's always lots. So I think it's interesting. People are getting to know about the Brit Challenge, but it's almost like that's not the name of the charity. It's the British Inspiration Trust's Brit Challenge. I've always felt that it is important to choose who you want to raise funds for, and that's always been on offer. So we partnered with Sam H this year, so that universities and colleges in Scotland could choose a Scottish charity. But actually, you can choose any charity you want to. I think there's a really big opportunity for fundraising here. That's not to say I'm saying students should put their hand in their pocket, particularly cost of living crisis and other factors. But I think when you're trying to share best practice, what we've done in Scotland and in England and Wales is we have regional steering groups where representatives, staff and student from every institution are invited to be part of that, to share the great ideas that they've done with the Brit Challenge. If it's fundraising, perhaps to ask local companies if they will match fund, for those sorts of ideas, or to get sponsorship or contractors working on campus, sort of, to assist with reaching targets. But also, those steering groups are an opportunity to share other well-being initiatives and activities, suicide prevention policies, or I just think there are so many great creative ideas out there. I visit Scotland I've tried to, less pandemic, every year to meet students and staff at every institution, and I see some amazing ideas which are there, and it's an amazing idea in Inverness, but it'd be great. I think it'd be great if it was shared, and I'm hoping that the steering group forum provides that opportunity. And the second thing that I'm really keen to promote is, and I've written to every vice chancellor and college principal in Scotland and across the whole of the UK, which is there are opportunities with BRIT in certain projects that might fit a module or a course. For example, it could be, say, filmmaking. And obviously we want to promote what we're doing, but who better to film and to direct and to bring that project together than students? And it could be the same with business and entrepreneurship, or it could be the same psychology. So there's so many different. So I went through every course of every university in Scotland and UK, and wrote to the vice chancellor saying, these are the courses I think that we could perhaps provide an opportunity with. It could be in the form of a work placement, or it could be a project or a module for the course, the whole course to do, and it will be done remotely. But so I think there are opportunities there, and I'm hoping that will filter down, because if we are a young adult student staff mental health charity existing to deliver the Brit Challenge, and if that can be driven by the passion of students, I think that's a really exciting opportunity.
No, I think it's wonderful. What you've just talked about sounds really great. I think a lot of young people, particularly, are struggling to find work placements these days. It's really hard. You have the typical you leave university when you have your degree, or you leave your college course and you're trying to get into employment, and they're telling you that you have to have 4 or 5 years experience, but simultaneously you also have to have a degree. You can fall quite into the trap. So anything I think I would definitely support, and it's something I've been advocating for years, is more opportunities for students on courses to get to have that practical experience, and things like teamwork, working together to create projects, I think is really invaluable for creating the kind kind of soft transferable skills that employers are telling us that they want. So I would certainly welcome any of that. I think UHI is quite unique, certainly in our geographical coverage. We cover essentially the same geographical size as Belgium, and some of our students do live in very rural and isolated areas. So I suppose if in next year's challenge, if there was a student who maybe didn't have access quite as easily to the larger groups of students, what advice would you give them for taking part in the BRIT challenge?
Well, very interesting question, because I think that's where it may differ slightly with UHI and the Highlands and Islands and the HISA, because the range of activities you almost want to be able to take part in wherever you are. Well, so, and I'm not suggesting they all need to be physical, that it's got to be like it is going to be part of it's going to be a step challenge, but actually it could be 23 minutes of activity a day that's good for your well-being. What is that? And there could be some examples or some ideas. And I think that what HISA did this year with the bingo card is you had a number of different activities that you could take part in. I love that idea. May I also say that, you know, one of the things I'm very keen to do is, if I can link this answer to what you've just asked me, there are thousands of young adults and potential students who cannot attend university or college due to hospitalization, due to rehabilitation, due to injury, illness, disability, or mobility issues. I'm not reaching them. So how do I? And one of the projects I would like to do for 2024 is 24 activities that they could take part in over 24 days in hospital or at home, wherever they may be. That could be about breathing, or it could be about just taking time out to perhaps listen to a podcast, or perhaps you know, we had students at NTU, Nottingham Trent University, and they did 20 for this year, 23 phrases or words in British Sign Language that you could learn. It's something a little bit different, but it's inclusive and you can do it wherever you are. So I need to do a lot of work to work out what those 24 activities could be that are inclusive, particularly for young adults and potential students that are hospitalized or have injuries and disabilities, broad range of them. So I think thinking about the activities wherever students and staff are in the Highlands and Islands is really important, particularly if they are geographically challenged or they can't get in or they are feeling quite isolated. What does bring them in? What does get them to be communicating with other students and staff? So I don't think everything should be isolated, but it could be something that you join, or, you know, maybe one of those is picking up the phone to a fellow student or staff member and having a chat, and just having a you know, it's communicating, making people feel that they're not alone. Long answer. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, absolutely
It's
not.
trying to make something inclusive.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful to hear all of the ideas you have. I definitely would welcome that as well. I suppose to just kind of end things on maybe a bit more of a fun, positive note. You mentioned we did our bingo card and it was filled with activities around the theme of 23 for 2023, and we just wanted to ask if there was any one activity you could do 23 of. What would it be?
I if memory serves me correctly, I think one of them was a conversation, wasn't it? I think it was picking up the phone to a friend, something like that, along the lines
Yes,
of.
yes.
Um, I, I think sometimes it's really important to carve out time, and I think support needs to be a two-way thing sometimes. So I would say, you know, what things should I be doing more regularly? I should, for 2024, 2023, is picking up the phone to 23 people that maybe I haven't picked up the phone to for a long time. Not WhatsApping or messaging, but talking with. Because I think that, you know, having little targets of looking after our well-being and health is something that is what we should be doing as individuals, that we can do with other people. but maybe saying to one of those 23, do you want to come and join me? Or should we go for a walk? Or, come and let's go and do this. I think it's not just thinking about me, it's thinking about other people, but in turn that actually helps you as well. And it's reaching out. It's, you never know, you never know what's going on in someone else's life unless you actually ask them what's going on. So yeah, I'd say that would be the one, because I think it's just really important to check in on people.
No, I think that's a lovely idea. I definitely agree. There's probably some people out there, I think you forget in your day-to-day life when you're busy, particularly as a student, you're managing several different things, to reach out and check out on people, especially when you're so spread out. But thank you so much for taking the time to come along and speak to us. We really, really do appreciate it. And hopefully we can get some really good engagement with the British Inspirational Trust and the BRIT Challenge going forwards. So
Thank you.
thank you.
And thank you to everyone who took part this year. I'm really grateful.